So we have Ford that's warning of the absolute disaster that the car market is going to be in 2025.
You're forecasting a drop in the full year profit as well as free cash flow, and within your divisions,
Ford lost $5 billion on these things last year, and this year,
another quarterly loss for the electric vehicle business.
This year they're projecting to lose $5.5 billion in their EV space.
$37,000 per EV sold.
And if we get these 25% tariffs from Mexico,
if this persists, this tariff persisted with Mexico and Canada, it would mean billions of losses.
Ford is going to be one of the hardest companies that are hit across the board.
Huge impact for jobs in the U.S.
Ford is going to have to do massive price cuts this year, because this year, the year of 2025, is going to be a race to the bottom for a lot of these truck makers.
Firmly in the red year to date.
Yeah, shares continuing to fall right now.
So check out all these trucks behind me. Ford dealers right now have over 100 days supply of inventory. That's absolutely insane.
Ford's guidance, a little light of what many people might be expecting.
So Ford released their quarterly earnings, and the numbers really weren't all that bad. Their sales were up, we had revenues that were up, but the problem is there's a lot of headwinds in this market right now that they know that they're going to have to deal with. You've got tariffs, you've got increased incentive spend, you got manufacturers that have to spend money because we're going back to the volume game. All of this is something that shareholders don't like. Over the last 3-4 years, we can play the game where, okay, you don't have to sell as many of these F-150s because we can make so much money off each individual truck. But now, I just talked to a salesperson at this dealership. Right now, they have 2025s coming in. But guess what? All these trucks behind me, most of them are 2024s. And you know what? He said that they still have 2023 sitting on this lot right now, and a lot of dealerships across the country are in the exact same boat. So what does that mean? That means prices have to come down. That means margins have to shrink. When margins shrink, profitability goes down, and this is something that shareholders don't like. So yeah, Ford can put out some good numbers over the last quarter, but they know in 2025 profits are going to be an issue. And I believe this is just about the cheapest four-door truck that I've been able to find here at this Ford dealership. It's an STX, so I think they still make the XLs, but those are more like commercial kind of trucks you'll be looking at your fleet. But this, for the retail side, is going to be just about the cheapest thing that you can find in a four-door truck. And it's $52,000. And here we go. Here's what Farley said about, Jim Farley's the CEO of Ford, said about these tariffs. He said tariffs could wipe out billions in profits, and Ford would be required to restructure their supply chain. What does that mean? Well, a lot of their vehicles are built in Mexico, so if they have a 25% tariff coming from Mexico, well, they're going to have to move a lot of that production up to the U.S. It's good for the U.S. workers, puts more money in their hands. It's just a trade-off, right? We can pay the workers more, but the cost of goods is going to go up. So yeah, great thing to hire more people in the U.S., but prices are going to go up. And Farley also said that it would delay production and increase costs. So cost is a given, right? More labor costs is going to create an increase in prices for the consumer. But the delaying of production is just because it takes time to move things. You've got factories in Mexico right now where you're assembling these Mavericks, these Ford Broncos, and then you move all of your factory production up to the U.S. Well, that's a logistical nightmare, right? So you're just going to have time that's going to go into place. And you know what? What Ford dealers need right now is time. They need a slowing of production. They need some turning down of allocation. So that might actually benefit your Ford dealers if something like a supply chain shakeup happens in the car industry. But all of it equals increase in prices, which is terrible for the consumer right now. And here we go, check this out. This is a Ford Lightning Platinum right here, and the price on this is $87,000. Tell me who the buyer is for this truck. $87,000 for Ford Lightning. And here's the bad thing for the car market is when profits shrink, well, companies have to do cost cutting. And one of the big ways that they can do this is by layoffs.
Starting this November, General Motors is putting over 1,400 people out of work.
Another 1,000 employees will be laid off.
And layoffs is something that we've seen over the last year.
We're talking about blanket cuts of pay of workers at Volkswagen by 10% across the board.
And even when we've seen all these manufacturers put up really good numbers over the last year, show a lot of really good profits, well, what have they continuously been doing? Well, they've been laying off workers. And it seems kind of weird to think about that, right? Well, they're putting up great numbers, their sales are increasing, they're making more money, but but they're letting go of workers. Their productions are getting cut.
Latest sign of a slowing demand for EVs, Ford announcing it's reducing production of its F-150 Lightning.
Just with Ford, Broncos, they pulled back on Broncos. All their EV space, they pulled back on the production. That could be a whole different scenario though, but we can lean into something like the Broncos or F-150s. When you pull back production, well, you have to lay off workers, and that seems like it shouldn't be the case right now. But Ford knows that going forward, it's going to be very difficult for them to move vehicles. They know already from these dealerships. See, they can put up good quarters when their dealers can be hurting, because the dealers are the customers for a lot of these manufacturers. So they've already sold all these trucks. In the last quarter, Ford sold this dealer a whole lot of trucks, even though this dealer has had a hard time moving a lot of these trucks right here, and you can see them stacking up, and it's across the board at a lot of these Ford dealers across the country, where Ford can make their money by selling them this truck right here. And now, because these dealers are having a hard time selling it, these dealers can be suffering. They turn down allocations. When they turn down allocations, it's going to hurt future outlook for Ford, and it's something that that Ford sees, and they're reporting it in this quarter, and this is why their stock is sold off. And here's the thing with these manufacturers: lower profitability means lower expansion. They're not going to be spending money trying to find new products. They're not going to be spending money trying to grow the brand. They're going to be making cuts and trying to figure out how they make their shareholders the most amount of money in a short amount of time. And when you don't have expansion of a company, well, you have contraction of the stock. You have investors that are not excited about Ford going forward. And we had all of this stock run up from, okay, these the EVs, right? That was supposed to be one of the big growth engines for Ford, and it turned out, okay, nobody wants at least the product that Ford is making with your Mach-E's, with your Ford Lightnings. And now that's not going to be a expansion engine for Ford. And this is a really, really bad thing for their stock, and really, really bad thing that investors don't want to hear, because they want to hear, okay, where are your dollars going to be made next year? Where are we going to get our next 2x in the stock? That's why I'm here and why I'm investing. And if I don't hear that from you, Ford, of where your growth's going to come from, well, I'm out. I can go to another company that is going to give me some promise of some kind of growth somewhere. Right now, Ford doesn't have it. And here we go, bare bones. I wanted to find one of these trucks. It's a 2-door, nothing special about it. Steel wheels, XL, lowest model that you can get, and still the price on this thing, cheapest truck that you can find from Ford, and it's still $40,000. And it's, look at it. I mean, it's just a little bench seat, and it's got a fold down middle console there. Middle seat, $40,000, as plain as you can get. My goodness, where are we at right now? So probably the biggest problem that Ford is dealing with right now is their dealers' level of supply is up over 100 days. It's actually at 103 days exactly right now. And where dealers want to be, that sweet spot for how many days supply of inventory that they want to have, is right around 50 days. So Ford dealers are double that. And you can see all behind me, there's not an empty space in this dealership. And they're even parking trucks in places that are not parking spots. This is the problem with Ford right now, because who is Ford's customer? Well, it's this dealer right here. So if this Ford dealer has zero place to park any trucks, what are they going to do? They're going to turn down allocations. They no longer become a customer for Ford for the next quarter. And then if you have all of these dealers all at the same time that have to turn down allocations, well, that starts hitting the numbers. This is why 2025 is going to be such a disaster for a company like Ford, because their dealers cannot handle it. Their customers who are not me and you, it's these dealers. These dealers, the only way that they're going to sell cars is by dropping the price dramatically. And the only way that they can do that, the only way these dealers can afford it, because a lot of them, they're on floor plans. They pay interest on all these trucks. They have to move them. They have to significantly cut prices. And a lot of that money is going to have to come from Ford to help these dealers move a lot of this metal. And when Ford does that, their profits have to shrink. And this is a big problem right now for Ford for 2025, for the car market. Not just Ford, Stellantis, GM, Big Three, they're all dealing with this problem right now. And they're going to have to lower prices. And that's going to force all of these companies to lower prices all at the same time. And we're going to have a race to the bottom in 2025. We can look at one of these Mach-E's sitting on, I mean, look how many there are, that whole line. And then we'll go right past this one and look at this whole line. Look all the way down there. That's crazy. But this one, Mustang Mach-E, is a 2024. They got 2025s coming in right now, but this is a 2024, and it's $52,000. This is absolutely insane. So last year in 2024, Ford lost $5 billion on those things right there. And this year they're projecting to lose about $5.5 billion. Now keep in mind, every time Ford has made an estimation of how much they're going to lose in the EV space, they've always been wrong and they've always been under. And we know that right over there, all those EVs, they're all sitting there. They're all not selling. Ford Lightnings, they're all sitting there. They're not selling. Now they've got some competition on the truck space. They were really first to market as far as mass scale EV pickup trucks. And now you have the Cybertruck. Maybe that's a fail, but anyway, you've got competition. And now you've got Chevy that's putting out an EV truck. Maybe that's a fail, but you still have more competition for very few people that actually want an EV pickup truck. So I believe that 5.5 number, that $5.5 billion number that they're estimating that they're going to lose this year in the EV space, I think it's going to be much greater than that just because of the competition. And then you take out, I mean, all the people who've already bought the EVs that want to buy them specifically for Ford, they're not there anymore. So you're going to have more trucks, you're going to have more Mach-E's sitting around not selling. They're going to have to pay dealers crazy amounts of money to move them out. And they really need these dealers to move out these vehicles because they've got more that they're making right now, and they got to sell them to somebody. They're going to have to sell them to dealers, and the only way dealers are going to take them is if they can sell the inventory that they have sitting on their lot right now, and they're not moving them. All right, so here's the one that they've got on the corner displayed. Not enough room anywhere, so they put it in the grass. Anyway, but this is the Raptor Bronco. This thing is mean. I like it, but $97,000, and it's a 2024 still. $97,000. One thing I want to point out is all these vehicles that I've checked, I mean, I've gone through this, just about this whole dealer lot. I haven't seen hardly any I've not even walked up to a 2025 yet. So not even hardly, it's not 2025. So here's the dilemma for a lot of these dealers, Ford in particular, Ram in particular, is that they have 2024s, 2023 sitting on lots. Now they have 2025s rolling in, and you typically you'll see 2025s rolling in at the back half of the year before it's going to release. So right now it's 2025, so in the end of 2024 we would have seen 2025s roll out to a lot of these dealerships, and we're not seeing that now. And that's a factor of Ford not pushing these 2025s out to dealers yet because they know they can't handle it. I mean, look at that. Where are they going to put them, right? So as we have these 2024s that are still sitting on lots, well, now Ford can't sell their new 2025s to a lot of these dealers. And this is why we see outlook problems for companies like Ford, GM, for Ram, Stellantis. We're seeing a lot of stock price reduction because of forward-looking earnings that are not going to be there because of profit cuts, because of the way that they have to get back to volume. And even if they try to get back to selling volume by adding crazy incentives, by slashing prices, it still might not be enough. It still might not help. And it might be that they lower all these dealership prices by 10, 15, 20%, and then you still don't have buyers on the other side. And if that's the case, then it's going to be an absolute disaster for a lot of these companies. It's going to be an absolute disaster for Ford, because they're going to have all these trucks sitting everywhere. They're going to spend money to try to sell the trucks, and then you just don't have buyers on the other side. And that's even more money that you're going to have to cut. And you're going to have all these companies that are cutting, race to the bottom. Absolute disaster for a company like Ford. Absolute disaster for the car market in 2025. And here we go. It seems like every quarter I'm talking about this, but we have increase in warranty spending, and it's just a factor of, okay, we're putting out more junk and more junk and more junk, and we have to recall the junk to fix the junk that we put out. And now what's happening with consumers? Well, they see that Ford is so highly recalled. Well, it's going to really have a reputation hit for a company like Ford. And I know maybe the reputation can't get worse than what it already is for your quality control that's coming from this manufacturer. And it's really not just Ford. It seems like quality concerns have been up across the board with a lot of these manufacturers, specifically the U.S. Manufacturers. We have GM that, I mean, they're under investigation right now for motors that can blow up. You've got Ram that recently overtook Ford for the highest number of recalls, I believe, and then Ford got it back. Anyway, so we're at a race for number one for the amount of junk that we can put out. It's just a nightmare, and for someone who's looking for a new vehicle, specifically a new truck, well, if they see that Ford is at the top of the ladder for recalls, and even if they buy and they have a situation where they have to take the truck in, even if it gets fixed, I mean, that's a situation that a consumer doesn't want to have to deal with when they're paying $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 for a truck. If I'm paying $90,000 for a truck, I want the truck to work and I want it to be good, and I don't want to have to go get it fixed right after I buy it. But that's a scenario that a lot of these consumers are having to deal with right now, and it's hurting the reputation of a company like Ford.